it's Manisha.
And Shirley from Make It Shine, the Money Podcast.
On today's podcast, the world of side hustles.
Yes, and how to turn your passions into profits.
Plus 5 tips to help you get started.
Keep listening to find out.
This is not a lie. Yeah, I'm gonna make it shine, make it shine, make it shine, make it shine.
Today, Shirley, we're talking about side hustles. A recent survey by Bankrate found that nearly 4 in 10 Americans have a side hustle, and that number is actually only expected to grow.
Yeah, that's right, Manisha. So a side hustle is a way to earn extra income outside of your regular job. So it could be anything from selling crafts on Etsy to driving for Uber. So I love the idea of side hustles.
Me too, and I have a funny story by my brother. He's actually the king of side hustles, and I know he listens to our podcast, so shout out to him. When we first moved to Canada, he got a paper route. Perfect side gig, he was a kid, and on day one, he woke up late. We didn't want him to get into trouble on day one, and so now the entire family, we got into like this production line where we were putting in the flyers and the papers step by step, and then we got into a car. It's a paper route by a family of 4.
Oh, that's so cute.
Problem is that it kept happening, so multiple times a week, at least one of my parents had to wake him up, rush him, drive around the neighborhood.
Yeah, so it becomes everyone's job to make sure it was done. But I hope he shared his earnings with the family, right?
No. But I think eventually he quit anyway. We were all losing money due to the time, the gas, and everything spent driving him around. And then I have another story, actually. This was many years ago in India where my dad and uncle, they wanted to do like an export-import business. And they actually looked at saris, which is an Indian dress. And they wanted to export-import that between Singapore and India. And they bought about 100 saris. And then just decided it didn't make any sense because of, the details, the finances, what have you. And now my grandma, but her house was covered in saris. And she was stuck with them.
Yeah, so that's the thing with side hustles, but there's always a lesson in them, and most of my attempts at side hustles have been unsuccessful. But I think you just have to keep trying until something sticks.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us about your experience with turning hobbies into side hustles.
My earliest memory of making a transaction which had some value attached to it was when I was 7 or 8 and I collected Marvel trading cards. So my neighbor was collecting them first and he would give me all his duplicates. And pretty soon I had my own collection. So I started to trade them and sell them as well. And then at one point I got bored of them, of course, so I sold them all to my little brother.
Oh, and speaking of childhood side hustles, this is an easy one. I used to tutor.
Yeah, me too. I didn't like it, but I tutored and I also taught piano.
Oh, very nice. Okay, now what about side hustles as an adult? So I do some consulting work from time to time, and I like it because it aligns to my schedule, and I actually really enjoy meeting new people and helping new businesses. So what about you?
My story is a little bit similar to what your dad and uncle did with the saris. So at one point, I was convinced I was going to make it big in the pet business. So I just got my dog, Alfie, and I didn't have any other friends with dogs, so I wanted to make some. And that idea morphed into me selling dog clothes. And I ordered, I think, 2,000 items to start the business. So I was very serious. But not only
remember.
that, I also had to build a website. I bought a camera to take pictures of the inventory. I had to learn how to market it. And we were all over the local pet magazines. It was so much work to get started.
Yeah, and I remember Alfie always had the best outfits, and I know my cat Bobo, he also modeled for the website, and he had this super cute blue bow tie.
Yeah, and he also provided a great testimonial for the website.
Okay, so tell us the rest of the story. What happened to it?
Well, not much, actually. After I finished building the site, I went to every single pet event to promote it. I even had clothes on consignment at a dog shelter. I was selling them at the vet, but I barely made a dent in the inventory because it turns out dogs hate wearing clothes, especially mine. So this was also in Singapore, and it was basically always 30 plus degrees out there. So it was way too hot and humid for dogs to wear anything.
Yeah, so definitely a few lessons learned, right? About having the wrong product at the wrong time and needing to understand your target market. But you had fun doing it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I kept the business active for about 2 years. We love going to pet events to meet other pet owners, so at least my original goal was met.
Not all side hustles work out, but many of them do. And here's a few more examples to help anyone listening get started. So, you can use freelance existing companies like Fiverr or Upwork, where you can offer your services across a variety of fields, like graphic design, writing, proofreading, voiceovers, and so on.
And similarly, TaskRabbit is also a popular site where everyday services like cleaning, assembling furniture, moving and delivery services are a match with consumers who need them.
Another popular side hustle is flipping and reselling items.
Yeah, that's definitely a popular one. One of my friends loves refurbishing furniture, like a total makeover of an old drawer that she found on someone's lawn. She fixes it, repaints it, changes the knobs, and then she posts it on Kijiji. And the best part is she loves the process, and it makes her really happy.
That's the key. I think you want to make sure with the side hustle you're happy about doing what you're doing. Oh, I thought of one more. We mentioned tutoring earlier, but a few years ago, you had started learning a new language.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot about this. So I didn't do it for very long, but I wanted to learn Korean and also brush up on my Cantonese. So I found an online instructor from a language learning site. It was called Verbling. And it was really cool. It was a side gig for many of the instructors. For example, my Korean instructor was an actress, and the Cantonese instructor was a university student.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, these are all great ideas, and many of them really leverage your existing skill set, so you don't have to go out there and learn something brand new. And with that in mind, here are our top 5 tips on how to start a side hustle. Tip number 1, identify your skills and interests. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? This is probably the most important step, as it will help you narrow down the options and find something that aligns with your strengths and passions.
One of my coworkers is a fantastic baker, and every time we have a celebration at work, she always volunteers to make the cake. And everyone is always so impressed. And we got her to start an Instagram account to show off her designs, and now she's turned it into a small business.
Yeah, those are the best stories, when you discover someone is willing to pay you for something that you already do that makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly. So tip number 2, research potential opportunities. So look for ways to monetize your skills and interests, whether it's through freelancing, starting in a small business, or renting out a room on Airbnb. So it's important to do your research and explore the different options available to you and see if there's a market for what you're interested in.
Actually, I have the perfect example for this. So our friend Jess is a graphic designer, and she was actually helping her niece who was just graduating from university to put together a resume. And she designed this crisp, beautiful template that helped reword the content. And that actually led to helping her niece's other friends who were just graduating as well and had no idea how to put a resume together. So she realized there's a market for this.
Yes, and remember how she couldn't meet us for drinks last time because she was so busy with her resume side hustle?
Yeah, and that actually perfectly aligns with tip number 3, get creative. Don't be afraid to think outside the box and come up with unique ideas for a side hustle. You don't have to stick to the traditional ways of making money.
Yes, there's so many new ways to earn extra cash. And here's a tip that myself, your dad, and uncle could have used when we first started our failed side hustle businesses. So tip number 4 is to budget and plan. So make sure you have a clear idea of your expenses and how much you need to earn in order to make a profit. And starting a side hustle could be really expensive, so it's important to plan ahead and budget for any expenses that may come up.
Yes, make a plan for how you will manage your finances and ask yourself, how am I going to spend any money I earn? So the last tip, number 5, is to take advantage of resources. So utilize online tutorials and workshops, networking groups, and small business development centers to help you get your side hustle off the ground.
Yeah, there's so many resources available to help you start and grow your side hustle. So don't be afraid to reach out to experts in the field. Join networking groups and take advantage of free resources such as online tutorials and workshops.
And as always, make sure to stay compliant with any local laws and regulations related to your side hustle. Oh, and avoid any of those get-rich-quick side hustles that you see on the internet.
Yeah, so if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Because the reality is more side hustles will fail than succeed. And we should definitely do a follow-up episode, Shirley, on side hustle money scams.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And with that, let's summarize today's episode with a quote by writer Anna Nin. Good things happen to those who hustle.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and please share it with a friend.
Let us know your side hustle ideas and check us out on Instagram at Make It Shine Money. And don't forget to make it shine.
This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna make it shine, make it shine, make it shine, make it shine.
Any views or opinions represented in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the podcast creators and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the owner may or may not be associated with in professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated.